or a book with you. And then if you have a strap or a towel, I know I didn't say this in the email. If you don't have these things, it's okay, but we're going to use the strap a little bit later. So towel, strap, or nothing. It's all good. Okay. So lying down on your back and bringing your arms over your head, taking a nice big stretch, a good morning stretch. Big, big stretch. Sparkle out your toes, sparkle out your fingers. I want you to move your chin from side to side, just releasing your neck. Lots of big breaths of air, breathing in through your nose, breathing out through your mouth or your nose, whatever works to start with. Just let breath and air and space start to come into your body with your movements. So maybe you're continuing to turn your head from side to side, or maybe you're just keeping your head still. It's all good. With your arms over your head still, interlace your fingers and just start to press up through the wrists and the fingers and just stretching the arms a little tiny bit more. And then maybe as you're doing this, you can squeeze and release your toes a little bit, noticing if the feet feel tight at all. So we will take one more breath like this. And then I want you to just bring your arms alongside your body, palms facing up. Roll your shoulders back. And this is going to be something that we're going to come back to. I want you to just notice right now, how do your shoulders feel? Are they quite, is it quite difficult to pull them back? Do you feel like the stress of the week, so to speak, or of life is just kind of constantly making your shoulders hunch in? I want you to really pull them back. Try and snuggle your shoulder blades under the body or into the mat a little bit more. It feels sort of unnatural what you're doing, right? You would never lie like this naturally, but you're making a point of really trying to open up the chest. And what we're trying to do here is bring our awareness to our upper chest muscles, which are often quite underused, quite weak, quite tight, because our back, our upper shoulder muscles round in so much, and they're the ones that get all the work, right? So we're going to today, in amongst our flow and the other things that, all the things that we do, one of the things that we're going to try to look at is trying to pull those shoulders back a little bit more and just have some stretch and some strengthening in that upper chest area. Okay, so we'll just take a pause here and we'll bend our knees into our chest, and you can start to roll around on your back, massaging your spine, maybe hugging your knees in really close and just holding still. You're just starting out. I'm gonna maybe go out on a limb and assume that you haven't done yoga yet this morning. Maybe I'm wrong. If you have, all the power to you. But just for many people, just starting to wake up the body. So we'll do this for another breath. And then I want you to stretch both of your legs up. I always kind of describe it as like you're creaking your legs up because it's very common to feel the hamstrings are tight. The backs of the legs are tight, but we're going to work on that and loosen that all up. Just start to roll your ankles, point and flex your feet. Taking any manner of movement here, maybe you're going to go back to squeeze and releasing your toes. Always my favorite, taking a little massage of the backs of the legs, maybe even concentrating on behind the knee area, which is tricky to stretch. But you choose, you do what makes sense. And that goes without saying for everything today in this class. You're going to always listen to your body, do what makes sense. Even if it's something you've done before and today it just doesn't seem like it's working for you, that's okay. Every day is a new day. The body is different. There's always changes that happen. So just listen to your body. That's the most important thing. Okay, we'll stay here a little tiny bit longer. Maybe you're like wanting to open up your legs into a V and check out how that feels. All options. Let's take 2 more breaths, nice big breaths. And actually, even with our legs up in the air, maybe give it a moment to like try to pull the shoulders back again, because we don't have the strap today, right? We're not using a strap on our legs, so you can let your shoulders relax down. Okay, we'll start to let the legs have a little bit of rest. We'll bring them down to the ground, and I want you to actually just stretch them all the way out again. And let the blood flow back into the legs. See how that feels. Maybe we'll give our neck a couple little stretches again, just by turning from side to side. Okay, so let's take the right leg. I want you to pull it in towards the right shoulder. Give it a really big pull. So there's lots of tension on the hip, obviously, because you're kind of prying the right leg apart from the body. Nice big breath. And then left, we'll soften the pull, left hand on the knee, bring the leg across the body. Again, we are just starting. This might not feel as great as it could after you warm up, so just go nice and easy. Nice big breath. Maybe looking towards your right hand. This is definitely an opportunity to feel that right shoulder more on the ground, right? It's okay if it's up because of the way that your body is curving, but there's definitely a heaviness that wants to pull the shoulder towards the ground. It's okay if it's not touching. All right, come all the way back. Release that leg. Give it a nice little shake. Bend your left leg in, pull it in towards the left shoulder. Another big squeeze and some tension on the hip. This is definitely not the type of pose that you could fall asleep in. And then we're going to soften the tension, right hand on the knee, bring the leg across the body, and just check out how this twist feels now on the left side of the body. You might notice that on one side you were able to get your shoulder closer to the ground. You might notice the other side, the shoulder's way up higher. That's all normal. Nice big breath. And we're going to take one more breath and then start to come all the way back, releasing the leg, giving it another little stretch, shaking it out. Okay, let's do one more thing here on our backs. Feet flat to the ground. Take your right ankle, cross it over the left thigh. You're in a thread the needle position. You can, actually, let's all stay like this for a minute, because, you know, eventually we'll move to grabbing the left thigh. Let's stay like this for a minute, and I want you to take your right hand and actively push your knee away from you. Keep your foot flexed, because you're definitely pressing on the knee, so you don't want to hurt your joint at all. Keep the foot flexed. Just see how that feels. It's often a much deeper stretch. Take another breath. And then if you're liking this feeling, stay like this, or we'll move to the more traditional version of the posture where you grab your left thigh. So thread the needle, figure 4, pigeon. It's lying on your back pigeon. I can't remember the Sanskrit name for this right now. I'm sure there's somebody here that can. I'm sorry, I forgot. Anyways, nice big breath. Let your back stretch out. Try to think about spreading the bones of your low back out, your sacrum, your tailbone, your sacrum. We're going to take one more breath, and then we'll release the legs. Before we do the other side, I want you to bring your feet to the outside edges of the mat. Drop your knees from side to side. Maybe bring your arms away from you. Again, trying to let those shoulders flatten a little bit better towards the ground. So this is also giving us an opportunity to have another stretch in the spine area, in the back, but it also brings us more into the belly, the pelvis when we do this posture. Okay, we'll come back to center and we'll do the left leg crossing over the right thigh. Foot is flexed. And then before we pull and grab the leg, push the knee away from you. So see how that feels. And I know for some people you do this and it's like, it doesn't feel like anything. But for others, I'm sure, You do it and you can kind of feel a different stretch. There's different elements happening here than when you just do the same old of this pose, right? So it's nice to explore these things. Take another breath and then either staying like this or grab the right thigh and we'll take a few more breaths. Think about the whole length of your spine, from the base of your skull right down to your sacrum, to your tailbone. Just visualize your spine right now and just try to lengthen it out, stretch it out in the manner of what we're doing, but you're aware of it. You're having awareness of your back. You're having awareness of your spine. We're going to take one more breath. Nice big breath in. Nice big breath out, trying to breathe out through your nose. Okay, releasing the leg. Feet are on the outside edges of the mat. Once again, windshield wiper knees. If it feels available to you at this point, maybe bring your arms over your head. So getting a little more pull and stretch up the sides of the body. So you've spent a good amount here of the beginning of warming up. I really wanted to do that because it's a lazy, easy. All right, so bring yourself back, bring your arms back. Now we're gonna have a little bit of, I was gonna say spice. We're not having spice today. We're gonna have excitement. Okay, flex your feet. Legs are straight as you can get them. You can hold on to your legs if you need to. If that's available, have your hands on the ground. I want you to draw your abdominal muscles in. Back is pressing into the ground. And we're going to lower the right leg. And I want you to lower it to wherever it's available for you. And we're going to pulse, 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 pulse. So it's just a little pulse. You're keeping your foot flexed. I'm counting the pulses at the same time while I'm talking, which means for sure I'm going to miscount. All right, that's approximately 10. Come on, put me back up. And we'll do the same to the left. So strong abdominals as your pulse, 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 pulse. If anything hurts you, of course, you're going to stop, listening to your body. There's a lot of hip flexor work that's happening here. So just take it easy for 3, 2, 1. Come all the way back up. Okay, bend your knees. Just hug them in for a second. And we'll stretch both legs up. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more this time. So we're going to lower down the right leg and let it hover. You can stay exactly as we were before. We're going to do our 10 pulses, or take your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers, lift your head and shoulders up, stare at the ceiling, elbows are open, and we're going to pulse, 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 approximately 10. Come all the way back up and lower your head. And we'll do the same thing. So lower down the left leg, get yourself in a good position, lift your head and shoulders up, very strong core. Pulse, 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 pulse. And we are almost done. One more, come all the way up, release. Keep your legs up in the air if you want a little extra challenge, and just maybe turn your head from side to side to make sure you don't have any tension in your neck. Okay, so I've shown you 2 versions. One is lifting up the upper body and pulsing. The other is not. I'm going to give you the most hardest version. Lower down both legs. Well, there's still, I'm sure, way harder versions than this, and I just don't even know what they are. So, okay, so here we are. We're going to pulse. So take your variation that you want. We're going to do 10 pulses. Pulse, 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 pulse. I think that is 10. All the way back up. Okay. Now, I think some of you may have also lifted up your head that time, which is completely fine, but now this is the 4th and final add-on. If you want to lift up your head, keep your throat open, relax, and cradle your head in your hands for sure, and then lowering down the legs. And here we go. Pulse, 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 pulse. Very strong core. You're remembering to breathe for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All the way back up with the legs. Relax, bring your knees into your chest. And I think now might be a nice time to do either a modified happy baby with the knees really wide apart, or take a full happy baby, but if that feels like too much, listen to your body. Okay. All right. Bring your feet back down to the ground. We're going to stretch out the top of the body. So hands alongside the body, feet hip distance apart. We're going to come up into a bridge pose, lifting yourself up. And we'll hold here. I want you to really activate your feet. Your feet are pressing into the ground. You're engaging your glute muscles. You're going to lift up even higher. You have very strong legs and ankles, calf muscles, everything's working here. And then take a nice, big, expansive breath into your belly as if you have a balloon. And then letting it recede. And we'll do that again. Let the balloon expand and recede. And we'll come back down to the ground. Bring the soles of your feet together. Let your knees open out to the sides. Another opportunity to stretch into the insides of the legs, but also the hip flexors. And let's just take about, let's say 3 breaths here. 3 breaths here. And if you want, maybe work on our shoulders a little bit more. You can take the ever easy pose to take. I'm being so sarcastic, but bending your elbows at 90 degrees, backs of the hands on the ground. If you can't do that at 90 degrees, you'll stretch them out and just try and pull everything open. So you're pulling the shoulders back. You're opening up through the lower body. Try to soften your spine closer to the ground. We'll take 1 more breath. All right, relax the arm or release the arms, bring your knees in, give yourself a hug. Let's actually roll ourselves up into a little ball, holding here, and then stretch out 1 more time. Grab onto your left wrist, pull to the side, grab onto your right wrist, pull to the side, and then roll yourself up 1 more time. We're gonna come all the way up and forward, all the way up and forward into downward facing dog. If that feels too early for you to do and you want to start off in tabletop, go for it. So tabletop, you can be just kind of warming up, or downward dog people, pedaling out your legs. So we're going to take about 60 seconds here. You are doing what you want. You are doing maybe a combination of tabletop and downward dog. Maybe in tabletop, you feel like you need to do a couple cat and cows. That's okay. So everybody's doing your own thing. Everyone is breathing. Nice big breaths in and out through your nose. If you're in downward dog or in tabletop, maybe releasing your neck. Let's continue this for about another 20 seconds. Downward dog people, maybe you're coming up onto your tiptoes, pressing your tailbone up towards the ceiling, and then sinking down any amount through your heels. We can do that 1 more time. Inhale, lifting up, drawing your abdominal muscles in, and sinking down any amount through your heels. Okay, so from here, let's all of us come down, and we'll come into wide knees child's pose just to remind ourselves that this is an amazing place to be. If you need to be, your big toes are touching, your knees are apart, and you can stretch your hands forward, maybe even give your wrists a little roll. So we'll just remind ourselves of this pose. Nice stretch into the back. Let's walk our hands over to the right side. And then we'll walk our hands over to the left side. And then come back to center. Okay, so joining in downward dog whenever you feel ready. So we're gonna come up to downward dog. From here, I would like you please to take your right leg, reach it up in the air, and bend your knee open. So you're gonna hold your arms nice and strong. You're not leaning and dumping all the weight into one side, and you're trying to open up your hip, like you're trying to twist your lower body, and obviously an unnatural way, but we're working on it. And you can sink down through your heel. Hold here for 1 more breath. We're gonna relax that twist and pull your knee into your belly, rounding your back knee to nose. sweep the leg back up in the air. And now take the leg under the body to the left. Under the body to the left. Okay, so I'm hoping that you're feeling a stretch on the outside of your right leg. Perhaps the lower part of the leg, maybe you're feeling it up by your hip. Okay, so this is going to be maybe the most that we take it to today, but I'm going to add on to this option for those that want it. Okay, right leg goes back up in the air. Step your foot up between your hands and come down on your left knee. We'll take our hands off of the ground, interlace your hands behind your back, and take a nice stretch. We'll release the hands and stretch them up. Maybe looking up. Let's bring our hands to our heart and we'll twist to the right. And I want you to really push your hands together and pull the abdominal muscles in as you twist. So you're like wringing out your core. We'll come back to center, bring your hands down, stretch out your right leg, and we'll give it a couple point and flexes. And then slide your right leg back. Now, you can stay here in a tabletop position, maybe pushing your hips from side to side. Maybe you want to come into child's pose or downward facing dog. Downward facing dog, people, we are going to come forward to a high plank. And today, if you'd like, we are going to float our right leg, hovering, and then lower yourself down to your belly. Relax the foot. Inhale into cobra. Curl the toes under, downward facing dog. Okay, so joining in downward dog when you're ready, we're going to take the left leg up in the air and super bend open. So you're thinking about trying to stack your left hip on your right hip, and then your right arm, of course, stays strong. You're not going to collapse. Holding here for one more breath. And then pull the knee into the belly, rounding your back knee to nose, squeezing the belly muscles in. Sweep the leg back up in the air. And now step your foot under the body over to the right. You're going to kind of swing it under the body. So I'm on the outside edge of my foot, and there's a pull, you know, there's a stretch happening. Staying here for another breath. I know there's lots of happening with the wrist. We're going to rest in a minute. Bring your legs up, your leg back up in the air, sweep it up in the air. And then step your foot up between your hands, coming down on your knee. So we'll lift ourselves up. Maybe give yourself a little wrist roll if you need it, but we'll interlace the hands behind the back. This helps us stretch the wrist. And then bring the arms straight up. Bring your hands to your heart, twist to the left. Push the hands together, draw the abdominal muscles in. Lots of squeeze, lots of twist. Come back to center, bring your hands down, stretch out your leg. Point and flex your foot. Okay, you can slide the leg back, staying here in tabletop, going right into child's pose, that's good, or downward dog. Downward dog, people, if you want more, come forward to a high plank. Left foot floats, foot is flexed, holding here. We're going to lower down. Tops of the feet to the mat, inhale cobra, curl the toes under, downward facing dog. Okay, I feel like we should just maybe check in with our wrists again for a moment. So let's walk our hands and feet closer together. I want you to just take a dangling forward fold. This will release your shoulders. You're going to keep your belly muscles engaged. Just give your wrists a little bit of a roll like this. If it's available to you, and you can bend your knees, that's okay. I want you to step onto the palms of your hands, and the weight of your feet is going to give your hands, your bones of your hands, and your wrist a little massage. We're trying to walk your feet up right to the wrist. And we're just going to stretch out the wrists here. You can make this pose a little more specific because there is a little more that happens with it. Inhale and lengthen, exhale, fold, and bend your elbows out to the side as you're folding in. Some of you know this pose, that's why I'm adding that, but the purpose here is I really want you to just release your wrists. Okay, so we'll come off the wrists. Let's roll ourselves up, keep your belly strong. Roll yourself up. That's another way to give ourselves a little stretch. Roll the shoulders, turn your head from side to side. Okay, so we're now somewhere on our mat. Maybe let's go to the front of the mat. Okay, so we'll add in something that we haven't done yet, which is a little bit of sun salutation. So standing nice and tall, shoulders are back, drawing your abdominal muscles in, engaging the thighs. We're gonna inhale with the arms up, exhale, folding forward, lengthening into a flat back, bringing your hands to the ground, step yourself back into downward facing dog. Remember, you can always modify and be on your hands and knees. Okay, so we're gonna go back from the top, what we were doing. Right leg goes up in the air, bend the knee open. Really get a nice big stretch, sink down through your left heel a little bit more. Now pull your knee in, rounding your back knee to nose, squeezing your abdominal muscles. Sweep the leg back up in the air. And now take the foot and bring it under the body to the left. Now, if you want a little more work, you can bring your left arm up in the air. If you still want a little more work, you can float your right leg. Take your pick. For 3, 2, 1. Sweep the right leg up in the air. Step your foot forward. Come down on your knee. Bring your arms behind you. Take a nice stretch. Bring the arms up. Bring your hands to your heart. Twist to the right. This time, if you want a little more work, pick up through your back knee. Keep twisting, maybe even opening up the arms. All are options. Okay, come back to center. We'll bring the back knee down. Stretch out the right leg. Fold over that leg, maybe a little more deeply than you did before. Slide it back. Step into downward dog, tabletop, or child's pose. Or come forward to a high plank. Right leg's lifted. Now I'm going to make this a little harder for those that want to. Lowering down and hovering. Press back up, high plank. One more time, lower down and hover. Press back up, high plank. And then we'll take regular lowering down chaturanga, coming up into cobra. Curl your toes under. Downward facing dog. I heard a swear word. All right, left leg goes up in the air, bend the knee open. Pull the knee into your belly, round your back knee to nose. Sweep your leg back up in the air. Take your leg under the body to the right. Take the variation or float the leg. Take one more breath. Hand down, sweep the left leg up. Step your foot forward, come down on your right knee. Hands interlaced, little stretch. Arms up. Hands to the heart, twist. Maybe take a little extra excitement. Maybe open up the arms. Come back in, hands and knee down. Stretch out your leg. Try and maybe lengthen a little bit more deeply, really super stretching the back of the leg. Slide the foot back. Take your variation, tabletop child pose, downward dog, or high plank. Excitement time, float that back leg. We're gonna keep our elbows snuggled in close to the body. Lowering down, hold, press back up. Use your core, keep it strong. Lower down, hold, press back up. Last time, lower right down. Inhale, cobra, curl the toes under. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, so right now, let's either take a child's pose and rest the wrists. Maybe stay in downward dog. Maybe grab a sip of water, like me. Or if you want to do one more vinyasa, you come forward to a high plank, lower down, inhale, cobra, or upward dog, back into downward facing dog. Okay, let's all of us come back. I want to just add in a little extra element of excitement. Okay, so remember, at any time you can stay in tabletop. I think it might be fun today to just do a little bit of donkey kicks. So donkey kicks are also just kicking your butt with your heels. So let's give that a little practice to see how that feels. Good. Okay, so we're going to do 5 of those and then bring yourself however you want to the top of the mat. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Maybe step, walk, or hop all the way forward. I'm going to walk. Lengthen into a flat back, fold forward. Take an extra breath here, really roll out your wrists. And then let's actually keep the belly nice and strong, and we're going to roll up bone by bone. Okay. Who knew this is where the class would take you? We're doing all that chilled out, hazy stuff at the beginning, lazy stuff I mean, and then now you're doing donkey kicks. All right, we're going to do one more flow. Exactly everything we've been doing before. Nice and tall. For sure you're feeling warm, so use that ability to engage your muscles, your awareness of your body. Okay, take the arms up, inhale. Exhale, folding forward. Lengthening into a flat back. Bring your hands to the ground. Step or walk back or hop back into downward dog or high plank, I should be saying, sorry. We're in downward dog. We're going to take a nice big breath. Fingers are spread wide, gripping down on your finger pads. So you're using your arms and your hands and your wrists properly. We're going to take the right leg, reach it up in the air, bend the knee open, sink down through your left heel. Pull the knee into the belly, round your back, knee to nose. Sweep the leg back up in the air. Take the leg under the body, over to the left. Take the variation that you want to work on, but we are going to hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sweep the leg back up in the air. Step your foot up between your hands. Come down on the knee. Grab the hands behind your back. Open up through the chest. Bring the arms up. I'm going to add something this time. You can stay like this or lift yourself up. We'll take another breath. Bring your hands to your heart, twisting to the right. Any variation that you want to add on here. But everybody pulling the belly muscles in. Bring your hands to the ground. You can either, if your knees on the ground, stretch out the leg the way we've been doing it, or we're going to extending out our front legs, so stretching and folding forward, any amount that you can. So take your pick, this or this. Everybody's pulling the hip back. Everyone's trying to lengthen the back of the leg. Let's take an extra breath here. And then from here, we're going to step back either into downward facing dog or child's pose or tabletop, or come forward to a high plank, float your right leg. We're going to do this 3 times, and then the 4th time we're going to lower down. So I'm adding one. Lower down and hover, come back up. Lower down and hover, come back up. One more time. Lower down and hover, come back up, and now lower all the way down, top of the foot to the mat. Inhale, cobra, curl the toes under. Exhale back into downward facing dog. Everybody take a big breath in, big breath out. Fingers are spread wide. We're going to do the other side. Left leg goes up in the air, bend the knee open. Sink down through your right heel. Pull your knee into your belly. Round your back, knee to nose. Sweep the leg back up in the air. Foot goes under the body to the right. Take the variation that you're working on. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hand down, sweep the leg up in the air. Step the foot forward between the hands. Come down on the knee to start with. Interlace and stretch. Bring your arms up. And remember, you can stay like this or lift yourself up. We're in crescent lunge. Bring your hands to your heart, twist to the left. Back leg is straight if you have lifted up the knee. Come back down with your hands. So remember the two variations here, knee down, stretch out the leg, or straighten out that front leg any amount that is available to you, and you're gonna fold forward. Pull your hip back. Lengthen your muscles. Draw your belly muscles in. Okay, we'll take one more breath. Hands either side, step back into the variation of your choice. You know this by now. Come forward to a high plank. Excitement, people, float your leg. We can do this. Lower down and hover, back up. Lower down and hover, back up. One more time. Lower down and hover, back up. Lower all the way down to your belly. Drop the top of the foot to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Curl the toes under. Downward facing dog. Okay, let's everybody recharge because we're gonna do our donkey kicks. This is the last time we'll do them. And you know, you don't have to do them. You can do whatever you want. You're in your own home. It's amazing. You could turn the TV on and watch some show. Watch Netflix. Okay, you're with me. Here we go. We're gonna do 10 of them, okay? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring yourself down to the ground. Stretch yourself out. Take a little, we're gonna take a mini Shavasana on our bellies or on your back. Actually, if you wanna, if your back is better, go for it. Just catch your breath. You're on your belly, bring an ear to the ground, arms are wherever you want them to be. So isn't it the nice thing, the fact now that, you know, there's pros and cons to the fact that we can't meet in person anymore, for sure. One of the pros of doing this virtually, one of the advantages, is that you can do whatever the heck you want, no one knows. And then if you're not doing this live and you're doing it on, you know, because you're picking it up on YouTube later, you can fast forward. You can skip over. It's amazing. Okay, turn to your opposite ear if you haven't done that already, or if you're just on your back, just chilling. All right. So if you are on your back and you feel up to it, just flip around onto your belly. I'd like everybody to bring your chin to the ground. Stretch your arms alongside your body. Palms are flat. Zip your legs up as close together as you can. And I want you to pull your abdominal muscles in. We're going to just do a little bit extra core work here with strengthening the back of the body. And I say core work because you remember our core is the back, the glutes, the belly. Okay. So palms are going to stay on the ground. We're going to float up through the chest. Keep your neck nice and long. Float up through your feet. Reach through your toes so you really feel like you have nice long elongation through your body. And we're just going to flutter kick. If it works for you and it's not too many things to think about, I want you to also engage your glute muscles. I want you to think about this time, because we have our hands on the ground, anchoring the hands into the ground to pull the shoulder blades back a little bit more. So here we are again, coming back to that upper chest area, holding here for 3, 2, and 1. Totally relax, release, bring an ear to the ground, release the arms into a comfortable position, and we're going to give our hips a little shake this time. And we'll turn to the opposite ear, little shake. Okay, we'll come back to center, chin on the ground. Palms are flat on the ground again. Zipping up the legs. We're going to do that again. Abdominals are engaged. Lift up through the chest. Pry your shoulders back. Think about squeezing the shoulder blades together. Float your feet up. Sparkle at your toes. I want you to imagine that you're being measured from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes. And in the course of holding this posture and starting to flutter, we'll start to flutter, you might actually be gaining like a little millimeter holding here. Nice big breath, still with the core strong, drawing those shoulder blades back. Almost done, and release. So again, go to an ear, shake out your hips. We'll go to the opposite ear. Taking your steady, deep breaths in and out through your nose. Okay, so here's our last one of doing this. So this time, the option is here if you want to interlace your hands and pull the hands away. And you're going to also continue to think about those shoulder blades, drawing them closer together. You're prying the shoulders back. Okay. And I didn't say this at all before. You can skip the legs part if it's too much. You can just, we're trying to, I hope you can try and do the upper body. But of course, if it doesn't work for you, you're not going to do it. Okay. So lifting up, this is a little bit deeper. Float up the legs. Still the abdominals are pulled in. My neck is nice and long. And flutter kick. Breathing, but I'm prying my shoulders back. It's like an invisible person. Invisible hands are pulling my shoulders back right now to help stretch out my tight upper chest muscles, my underused muscles. Holding here in a little longer flutter kick for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Totally relax. That's it. We're not doing that again. Release your arms. Shake out your hips. Turn to the opposite ear. This time, if you want to bend your knees and just gently drop your feet from side to side, rolling your hips out, releasing your back. Okay. So, relaxing your legs back down to the ground, bring your hands beside your low ribs. Take your time, curling your toes under, and come back into child's pose. If you feel like on the way to your child's pose, what you actually need to do is more of a cat, and just hold that for a moment, that's okay. You do what feels good. What we're trying to do here is put our spine in an opposite position from what we were just doing. We were in extension with our spine before on the belly. Now we're trying to go into some flexion, rounding. So nice big breaths. It's very normal to feel like a lot of stuff happening because you're fatigued as well, right? Your muscles are fatigued, so there's a little bit of that happening. You may even want to try like some variations of child's pose, just listening to your body, okay? We're going to take a good 40 seconds here. I want you to get a nice stretch. We're also cooling down quite significantly. So maybe your forehead is able to touch the ground, maybe it's not, and this is where you would take maybe a block or a book or a rolled up towel, and you can rest your forehead on the prop. And what that's just doing is it's giving some support to your neck. So your head isn't kind of hanging there, and it's just another thing to be trying to hold, really. I guess that's the best way to put it. Okay, let's try and take 3 more big breaths. And they're gonna be nice, long breaths. You're gonna take a nice, long inhale, nice, long exhale, trying to keep them even. That's very balanced breathing to do that. Okay, maybe we'll just take one more for good measure. And from here, let's bring ourselves up. So I felt bad about not telling you in advance about the strap or the towel. So if you don't have one, don't worry about it. I'm going to give two options, but if you do have a towel or strap or something that you can use, or belt, then we're going to come up to standing. And you're going to hold your prop nice and wide. Oops, let me try to even it out a little bit here. And I want you to bring your arms up and over your head. So is this not the best type of stretch? One of the best type of stretch is that you can do to open up this upper chest area. Of course, it's also getting into the shoulders. You're rotating and stretching out your shoulder girdle. But if you think of it solely for kind of the area of the body that I was talking about at the very beginning, when you're lying on your back, you can definitely feel the stretch. And you know, when we stretch, we're also strengthening these muscles, right? Every time we do these types of movements. So you're strengthening and stretching. That's the great thing about yoga. Okay, so keep doing this if it's feeling good. And I'm sorry, I should be giving you an if you don't have it, you can just try and do it the best you can, keeping your arms straight. It's all the same motion. So you can keep doing this, as I was saying, or if you feel like, you know, the back and forth of it is just a little too much, one thing I like to try is go to your edge point and then just try to stay here, breathing deeply. Try not to clench your teeth or anything like that, but you're just going to take a couple breaths. And then once you've done that, you're going to release. And then the other thing you may want to be doing, which is still stretching out the upper chest, but getting into a little more lateral bending in the side body, you can do things like this. So anything here, maybe you're continuing this, maybe you're done. Okay, so whenever you do feel like you've done enough, because your arms are probably feeling tired from all of the yoga postures that we've been doing, let's do the good old standby, right? We all know that this is something that you can do at any point in your day when you're, like, it's easy to do at your desk, it's easy to do if you're involved with caregiving, you know, people, you can just be standing for a moment and just roll your shoulders. But, so we're just kind of doing it forward and back. I'm kind of getting a little mixed up, sorry. You can do this when you're standing in line at the grocery store, outside, inside, God knows where. When you're walking on the aisles the wrong way by accident because you didn't notice the arrows on the aisles, and then you're the loser. This is me. I did this week. I walked the wrong way. I didn't even notice what was going on. Okay. Stretching arms one more time. Some of you might feel like you want to fold forward. I don't know, it just depends if your back tolerates it. I'm just trying to show you a few things that you can do. Okay, so after we've kind of done the arms, let's just do a little bit of stuff with the neck. Maybe you like doing some circles. Maybe that feels like too much and you need to just stay more still and just let your chin drop to the chest and hold that. Listen to the body. Last but not least, if you feel like you have a lot of mobility in your neck today, imagine you have the paintbrush on the chin and do those lovely circles in the air. I'm going a lot faster. You could go way slower. Okay, so a whole bunch of things. These are easy things. They're like pocket yoga poses. Remember, you can do them anywhere. Okay. So we've had lots of excitement. This is now the lazy, hazy. Let's come down. And I want you to stretch your legs out. If you have your prop, if you want to try this, you can bring it to the soles of your feet. It's okay if your knees are bent. You can just use it to pull onto and fold forward. So this is just a different variation of something that you can do very easily without it. So You're rounding your back, you are bending your knees, you're doing anything here that feels comfortable, okay? I want you to just get nice, big stretch. Let's try and take 6 big breaths right now. Maybe pulling your belly muscles in as well, just to give a little extra support to the back. But when we forward fold, this is sending signals to our central nervous system that we are trying to relax. Okay, we'll come back up and with your prop, we'll take our right leg and step it over. We'll twist towards the bent knee. Nice stretch in the belly, in the back, in the shoulders. Get to pull those shoulders back again. Hopefully feels like your newly stretched out neck feels nice and juicy. You're sitting up nice and tall, lifting up to the crown of your head. And then we'll come all the way back. I'm going to add in something. We did thread the needle lying on our back earlier. I'm going to add an option here, but I just am mindful if your wrists feel like you've overdone them today because we have done a lot of wrist stuff, feel free to lie on your back and take thread the needle. But we'll do a seated version of thread the needle or seated pigeon. So hands behind you. So, sorry, pardon me, your leg is crossed, your right leg is crossed over, your ankle bone is on the thigh. Same thing as before, maybe you need to hold your leg or maybe you can push your knee down. See how that feels. Perhaps lean back. If this feels like a very good stretch for you, you can stay here. If you need a bit more, foot comes to the ground. The most important thing I want you to do here is keep your back straight. Don't round. The reason why I wanted to throw this stretch in today is because, ta-da, you're pulling your shoulders back. We're thinking about all the stuff that we have been reinforcing. You always keep your foot flexed, just to protect the knee. Remember, go onto your back if this is feeling like too much. If you need more, walk your foot in a little closer, keeping yourself nice and straight and tall. And I would always say this in the classes. I'm sure at this point now I've said it in a virtual class too, but in the live classes, I would always say to everybody, if you are in this type of pose and you feel like you can just kind of let your mind wander, think about your grocery list or what you're going to have for lunch, you might not be you could maybe push yourself a little bit more because generally in this pose, it should feel pretty intense. Like you need to keep breathing to stay with it, generally. Okay, we'll take one more breath. And then we'll release the leg. If you're on your back, you can stay there. The seated people, give your legs a shake. So either seated people coming into windshield wiper knees, we'll drop our knees from side to side. On your back people, you can be doing this too. The seated people though, we get to go all the way around if you want to do this. You just take a full body twist. Okay, we'll come back to center and let's fold forward again actually, so we can do that one more time. Folding forward with or without your prop, knees bent, back round, or whatever feels good. Maybe as you're here, you want to add in a little wrist roll. And then we'll come back up, and then we're going to do, I'll just turn around. You're going to do your left leg. Steps over, twisting towards the bent knee. Pull yourself up nice and tall. Relaxing your jaw. Drawing your abdominal muscles in. Maybe we'll just take 2 more breaths, lifting up just a tiny bit higher, just like through the crown of the head a little bit higher. and come back to center. Okay. Take your left ankle, cross it over your right thigh. Make sure the foot stays flexed. Decide how this feels. Maybe you want to push the knee down. Maybe you want to stay like this. Maybe you want to go to your back. Maybe bring your foot. But again, if you are doing this seated variation, I want you to keep your spine straight. Maybe just for a couple of breaths, really be aware of the type of quality of your breath. Are you having probably not the same breath of exertion that we were doing before when we were in our flow, but is your breath feeling deep? Is it feeling smooth? Do you feel like kind of the ragged edges of your breath, maybe when you were breathing at the very beginning? Maybe it felt a little bit more difficult to breathe and now you have a little more ease. Just notice these things. Maybe that's not happening. Notice that too. It's all good. It's not bad. Okay, we'll take one more breath and start to stretch the leg out and release the left leg, give them a little shake, and then we'll do, remember, on your back or seated, windshield wiper knees, but the seated people have the added opportunity to roll and give your back a little twist. So just doing that a few times. If you're on your back, just stay on your back. If you are seated, like I am, and you're just finishing up your windshield wiper knees, once you're done, everybody, remember, people, stay on your back, it's okay. I want everyone to just interlace your fingers and we'll stretch them away from the body. So if you're on your back, you're going to reach up to the ceiling. Just take a stretch. I want you just to get another little wrist stretch. So if you're on your back, you're pointing them right up to the ceiling, like over your face. And then we'll make a soft fist. Bring your thumbs inside your palm, close your fingers, and just do some rolls. I know that a lot of the stuff we did today was quite wrist heavy, and so just knowing that, and we'll stretch, and maybe you'll stretch at another point in the day. And then last but not least, we'll flick some water droplets, which you might have to go outside and do anyways if you are here in Toronto, where it's, I think, raining now again, or anyways. Okay, jazz hands, almost done. Okay, bring yourself onto your back if you're not there already. We're gonna bring our knees into our chest one more time. Massage your back, maybe come into a happy baby. Definitely having the feeling that your body is cooling down. I hope so. You can stay here in happy baby if you'd like, or you can elevate your legs up in the air. You can use your prop if you have one and lift up your hips and place it underneath your tailbone and stretch your legs up in the air. Some of you might want to do shoulder stand, but we're going to do any variation here that works for you. Happy baby, elevating legs, shoulder stand. Maybe you're lying on your back already. It's all good. We're going to do this for 8 more breaths. This is cooling down, calming down. Remember, in the hot weather, the hot, steamy, lazy, hazy days of summer, one of the ways to reduce swelling and to cool yourself is to elevate your legs. If you are on your back, well, I think you are on your back, but maybe just think about your shoulders, pressing your shoulder blades into the ground. Okay, we'll do one more breath. Start to bring your legs back down. Gonna lift up our hips, moving the prop if you had one. Stretch your legs out. Do you have any final last closing pose that you feel like you still need to do, like hugging your knees into your chest? Do any of those things, but For our last few seconds, I want you to have your palms facing up, pull those shoulders back. Remember I said we're going to check this out at the end. How does it feel? Maybe close your eyes. Do you notice any difference in the tension release, the tightness, just that anti-rounding? Do you notice any difference? We'll close our eyes. We're going to just take 5 breaths. So you can start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Deepen your breathing again, like taking deeper breaths. When you feel ready, bring your arms over your head. I want you to take an amazing stretch. You are not lazy or hazy. You are awesome because you practiced yoga. Big, big breath. Let's breathe in through the nose, exhale through your mouth. And however you'd like to bring yourself up to a seated position, you can come up to a comfortable seated position. We'll bring our hands to our heart, closing the eyes. I want you to just take a moment of gratitude for yourself or the world or someone, anything, however this resonates for you. Acknowledging. Thank you so much for practicing with me this morning. I appreciate your support, and I hope you are all well. Stay well, be good to each other. Namaste. And I am still doing a Wednesday deep stretch class, 10 a.m., a Thursday power vinyasa class, 5:30 p.m. If you have any questions or if you're interested, let me know. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or put in the chat. I'll take a look at it or whatever. But thank you again. Have a great day.